This is King World News. I'm Eric King, and you're about to hear a tremendous interview from Egon Von Greyez. Be sure to go to our homepage. We've had so many articles on the chaotic trading in global markets and the upward surge in gold and silver. Without any further delay, here is Egon Von Greyez. Joining us now is Egon Von Greyez, founder and managing partner at Matterhorn Asset Management. Egon, there's so much happening in the metals markets and the global markets, but let's start off with what's happening in the metals markets. And if you want, you can kick it off with some chaos as well that's happening around the world.
Eric, well, I got to start with the bigger picture because, I don't know if I should laugh or cry here. If I wrote a play about this, I don't know if it should be a tragedy or a comedy, or probably tragic comedy, because it's just unreal what's happening. I mean, you have to laugh at all the things that the central banks and the authorities do to create false markets and false money and false income. But at the same time, it's going to end in a very, very, very sad way. So you should, therefore, one should really cry. If I wrote a play, I think I would call it, I thought about, print land or cloud cuckoo land, but I think it's going to be called free land. Because everything is free, Eric. You start with, now the central banks and governments, they're creating totally free money. Whatever money you need, you can now borrow it at zero, or you actually get paid to borrow money if you're a government because of negative interest rates. So that's the first fake market. Money, there should be a cost of money. That's the only reason investors invest money, to get a return. But here they borrow free money, and therefore when the money is free, they can then create or print unlimited amounts of money. And that's what they're doing. Now everybody needs money. People are unemployed. People are furloughed. They don't work. So print some money because it's free, and we give it to them. Companies are going under. Well, we print some more money and help the companies. Industries are suffering tremendously. Well, we just print some more money. And Eric, the economy doesn't work in that way. It doesn't work. Free money is worthless money. If you print money at no cost and then hand it out to whoever needs it without any counter offer of work or service or producing a product, that means that all of that is worthless. So what's happening now is we are seeing the Fed has, since the crisis started in March, the Fed has, or end of February, the Fed has created $3 trillion. And of course, then the government has borrowed another few $1 trillion. And, if you remember, I made a forecast when Trump was elected that the U.S. debt would, in the next 8 years, it was $20 trillion when he was elected. I said that was 2017. He became president. And then I said, it's going to go to $40 trillion 8 years later, because that's the trend. And, nobody would believe that it could go from 20 to 40. Well, we're at 26 now. This, we talk about 25, in 2025, go to 40 trillion. So that's going to happen. We are creating unlimited amounts of money that is costing nothing and will not be repaid. And on top of that, the Fed is buying bonds, junk bonds, corporate bonds, and just to keep interest rates down, because the only way that they can continue to issue unlimited amounts of money is that it is free, or they're actually being paid for it. And therefore, they have to buy bonds also around the world. They have to buy the bonds, number one, to finance the world, and number two, to keep interest rates low. This is a Ponzi scheme of a degree that the world has never seen before. Free land doesn't work. I mean, that's Shangri-La was a free land. But, what's happening now, people have now stopped working, and they're not going to start working again because they're figuring out now that they're getting more money when they're not working than when they were working. So coming back to you, so this is going to end in an absolute disaster, and the stock markets believe that this is real. The Nasdaq is at new highs, gone up 50 or more than 50% since mid-March, the crash, and all the other markets have recovered too. The stock markets are finished the correction up on the 8th of June, except for the Nasdaq, but all other markets did. So the next move down, the next crash in markets is going to come, and I think it's imminent. That's absolutely guaranteed, because the markets will discover what's happening in the world. It's not just in Europe, it's not just in the US. You take China and Hong Kong. I mean, just Hong Kong itself could trigger a crash. You have the problems with the US sanctions, and then a lot of people in Hong Kong will not be able to take money out, and the war between Hong Kong or China and the US could easily lead to a crash in Hong Kong. That could be the trigger for the next crash in markets. But then I understand, why did I want to start with free land, as I call it, because that's where we are in, free land. Because free land means that when money is being issued without anyone producing any service or goods for that money, it means that the money is worthless, and therefore it's absolutely a guarantee that when you have issue worthless money, that money will have zero value. The world hasn't discovered it yet. Precious metals markets are starting to discover it by silver breaking out over $18, and gold also going up to $1,800. So now, but we're seeing the most incredible debasement of currencies that has ever happened in history with this money printing, and therefore we are going to see that the metals haven't moved at all, because I don't know if there is intervention. It doesn't matter. If there is intervention, that's just going to be blown out of the way, because the next move in the metals will be dramatic, because it has to be. If you issue trillions and tens of trillions of dollars and euros, etc., around the world to support an economy with just fake money, that is exactly what gold and silver do. That's what they do. They reflect this debasement and printing of currencies and debasement. So therefore, we will see them go up to levels now that no one can imagine. And obviously, it's one step at a time, and we have corrections, etc. But if you want to preserve wealth, if you haven't done it before, now is the time, because this is just going to be the most remarkable moves that we've ever seen in history in the precious metals, in my view.
Egon, we talk about the metals markets, and against the backdrop of what you're discussing right now, obviously we're in the early stages of this really, really big third wave move, which will end in a mania in the precious metals. But when you're in the early stages like this and kicking that off, the big money begins to flow in, and you can see that and feel that on the tape in the mining sector, as an example. Those stocks have really taken out. What are you seeing and hearing from the big money?
Well, that that's going to be the biggest shift ever in investments. Well, first of all, there'll be a wealth destruction, because I've said it for quite a long time. I'm saying it again, that all the bubble asset stocks, property and debt will go down by at least 90% in real terms, and real terms is against gold. Now, so the next move down in stock markets, general stock markets, is coming very soon, and when that comes, of course, people will start thinking about what to do with their money. I mean, for anyone to think that bonds is a safe haven, I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, because bonds is the riskiest investment that I know, because government bonds are issued by governments who have no money and are bankrupt. So those bonds will never be repaid with real money. But coming back to your question on the stocks, so yes, the Huey is massively undervalued, and obviously is going to go up against everything, against obviously normal stocks, against and against gold and silver also. It's going to move faster. The only thing is, I see in the very short term, Eric, that with the Huey, that if stocks move down, general stock markets move down first, I could see the Huey coming down with stock markets for a little while. That we've seen before. But the difference here is that the general stock market will continue down and massively down, whilst the Huey will just finish a correction down, a smaller correction down, and then move up in a major way. So that's, I think, short term maybe mining stocks might follow the general stock market down, but that's just an incredible opportunity to pick up some very cheap shares in mining stocks. Now, when it comes to the metals, of course, as I said before, I mean, it's inevitable. Metals are an expression of the currency they're measured in, and the currency they're measured in is a paper currency that is now being issued freely in free land at no cost, and therefore that paper money will also have no cost, i.e. it will be worthless, and the metals will reflect that over the next few years, and as I said, reach levels that would be hard to imagine today.
Egon, we're always discussing gold when you're on the air, and KW receives so many emails from our listeners asking which junior exploration and junior mining companies they should invest in. And KWN helped to launch the incredibly successful IPO of Fosterville South, which has Eric Sprott and Ross Beatty as investors, and the company is looking to replicate the success of Kirkland Lake Gold. Fosterville South, symbol FSX in Canada and FSXLF in the U.S. Another company is Gold Standard Ventures, run by John Odd. They're looking to hit it big in Nevada, symbol GSV in Canada and on the New York Stock Exchange. Another exciting company is one that Goldcorp made a huge investment in that has 3 Tier 1 swings to become a powerhouse. The company I'm talking about is Orin Resources, run by Ivan Babik, symbol AUG in Canada and on the New York Stock Exchange. And mining legend Ross Beatty is investing in one of the highest grade producing gold mines in the world. That company is K92 Mining, symbol KNT in Canada and KNTNF in the U.S. Now back to the interview with Egon Von Greyez. Egon, as you know, at King World News, we're bullish on gold, but particularly lately, we've been telling and encouraging people to buy physical silver instead. I know there's all the volatility and everything associated with that, but are more of your clients stepping up and buying physical silver with the gold-silver ratio so distorted?
Well, there is more. That it hasn't started in a big way, but people are looking more at silver, and of course, as we both know, there isn't much silver around, so it'll be very hard for them to get hold of silver. We can still buy silver, but once demand starts in earnest of silver, there will not be silver available, and certainly not at these levels. You're right. I've always said that precious metals, when they start moving up, which they have started now, that is always led by silver, and we've said that now. We've seen that now again. You know, we were up at we were up at 125 on the gold silver ratio, and then in May, it came down to about 110, and then since mid-May, we've gone from 110 to under 198. And that is exactly the move we want to see in order for the metals, both of them, gold and silver, to move up. And but still, silver is leading, and silver obviously will, as it always does in these type of markets, it will move probably 3 times as fast as gold. So yes, we will see the most explosive rally, which I have talked about before, in silver, and it will be spectacular. Now, at the same time, yes, as you said, we tell our investors, be careful. Silver is not for widows and orphans, because it moves as fast on the downside also, silver. So if we have corrections, I mean, they will frighten investors to an extent that a lot of people sadly will, buy high and sell low because they're afraid of losing money on the silver. But this is not a market for trading. Silver, you buy your physical silver, put it away, forget about the price, because yes, corrections will be big, but the major move up of silver be absolutely spectacular. And obviously we are going to, whenever that is, we're going to next level is probably 22, 25, let's say. But then we are obviously going to see 50 and a lot higher than that, whether that's this year or next year, I don't know at this point, but it's going to be a fast move. So that looks very good, but as I said, we always tell clients to have more gold than silver because of the volatility of silver. But if you don't mind having sleepless nights, silver will be a very interesting investment, that's for certain. Can I just say one more thing? The silver, obviously people have to buy physical, and they have to, both gold and silver, and they have to keep it outside of the, don't buy ETFs. ETFs might or might not have physical, but it's in the banking system, and you're buying gold and silver as protectionists against a fragile and fractured financial world, and therefore you must keep it in the system that is actually going to crash. So keep it outside. I mean, again, we have regularly we see clients coming to us and saying, "I went to my bank. This is a major European bank. Went to my bank, very recent, and this was in a seven-figure gold that he had in the bank, and I said, want to take it out? No, you're not allowed to take it out. You can't take it out. You're not allowed to take it. That's against the rules. It's illegal." The bank tells him. And we've seen this time and time again over the years, and it's happening now again because the bank is wrong, but nevertheless, that's what they're telling the client. And in the end, so far we've always managed to help the client to get it out of the bank, because what the bank is saying is not right. There are no rules. There are nothing that says that a client can't take his own assets out. But that's a trend, and that trend is getting worse, and that's why I'm telling people, don't keep your precious metals in a bank, whether it's in an ETF or even in this client actually wanted to put it in his own safe deposit box in the bank, but the bank wouldn't allow that either. It's just unreal. So take your gold and silver out of the banking system if you have it and put it in private vaults.
And Egon, on the second point there, in closing, you've also been warning for some time that there will get to a point in the bull market in gold and silver where it's just no offers. There's not going to be the ability to get physical. It'll be very difficult to obtain at any price. You can still get gold and silver now at these price levels. For people that want to get involved in Gold Switzerland and put an account together with you so that they have something in that Swiss vault outside of the banking system, tell them how they can do that.
Yes, it's still available, Eric, as you say. We still have access to gold, we still have access to silver, but number one, it won't be for very long at these prices because the silver and gold will become more and more scarce, and the only way you can adjust that is by much higher prices, so you get a lot less gold and silver for the same money. That's the only way that people's orders can be fulfilled. But so we set up a system which we've been now going for 20 years, and we set it up really for ourselves first, and then open it up for outside investors. And this is, we have the safest, and we actually have the biggest private vault in the world, gold vault in the world, and the safest. And we help investors from all over the world to buy or even ship existing metals of gold and silver in our vaults. So that's anyone who wants to find out anything about it can just go to our website, goldswitzerland.com, goldswitzerland.com, and there's all information.
Egon Von Greyez, founder and managing partner at Matterhorn Asset Management. Thank you for joining us on King World News.
Eric, always good to talk to you, especially in these exciting times, and frightening, I must say. Thank you, Eric.
Be sure to tune in as we will continue to release interviews with the top people in the world throughout the week. Also, make sure to check out the King World News blog.